Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, and welcome back to the topic of discussion. Today's topic, the last community episodes of Season 4. More specifically, Intro to Nuts, Basic Human Anatomy, Heroic Origins, and Advanced Introduction to Finality. First off, I have to say, congratulations community on getting a Season 5. Go them. I'll talk more about that later. So let's start with Introduction to Nuts. I don't remember a lot about this episode, to be completely honest. I mean, I did only watch it once, and that was, I guess, 4 weeks ago. But I guess what I do remember, I remember some decent things. I remember it's kind of like your average episode of Season 4, in that it brings up some interesting concepts, in that, you know, the whole Cornwallis trying to get everyone to betray each other, in that, you know, who's really at fault here, in that, you know, Shirley's actually a valedictorian potential too. You know, there's a lot of interesting things that it brings up, but at the same time, the overall concept, it's not that high of a concept episode, and it's got some funny moments. It's not completely devoid of humor, but it's not as laugh out loud funny as Community was in previous seasons. So it's very much your typical episode of Season 4, and especially what makes it go a little bit lower is the fact that we've had stellar Christmas episodes in the past. Really, I mean, the first one was really interesting. That was one of the first interesting concepts that they had on the show, that everyone was a different religion. The second one, Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas, will go down as one of my favorite Christmas specials of all time. And then the third one, The Glee Christmas, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Great parody, great silliness. Awesome. So, you know, having it after, you know, unfortunately being compared to those Christmas episodes, it will rank as my least favorite Christmas episode, but it's not a bad episode. It's really not. I would probably give it like a B-ish. It's passable. It's definitely enjoyable to watch, but at the same time, it's not going to be your favorite Community episode. It's not going to be your favorite Community Christmas episode. But there was interesting things about it. There was definitely funny moments. I thought it was a little bit harsh that Jeff was pretty much making everyone's grade go down just for his own selfish needs. I mean, I know that's kind of Jeff in a nutshell, but at the same time, I mean, he really hurt his other friends for it. You know, especially valedictorians and stuff like. And then to be the one to call out someone else for slacking, I thought that was a little bit too far, Jeff. You know, but whatever. So then we have Basic Human Anatomy, which is the Freaky Friday episode where Troy and Abed switch bodies. This is one of the more high concept episodes that they had of the season, and I'm glad that they didn't actually switch bodies. As far as we know, the way it's done, and the way I was so glad it was done, was that it's left up to interpretation. If you want to really believe that Troy and Abed have switched bodies, there's enough evidence that you could believe that that actually legitimately happened. But if you're like me and would prefer the show to stay devoid of like actual science fiction elements, you know, like actual science fiction-y stuff happening, then you can just say that Troy and Abed are awesome actors. Speaking of awesome actors, Danny Pudi and Donald Glover did amazing. The actors who play Troy and Abed, they did amazing jobs of playing each other, playing themselves. Yes. No, but seriously, really good acting job. This episode was directed by Jim Rash. Written by, one of them. Jim Rash had a hand in creating this episode. He's the actor who plays the Dean. I think he wrote the episode. Of course the Dean's shirtless half the time in this one. But no, yeah, it had some funny moments. It was an interesting concept. I feel like there were a few things that were handled a little bit awkwardly. I thought the breakup was handled pretty decently, in that, you know what, this is something that needed to happen, because Troy isn't ready for the relationship. He really is not, and you know, he's not emotionally there yet. And that's alright, you know, because nobody's feelings really got hurt here, and yeah, and they played with the concept well enough. So I would probably give this one a B. I'd say it's a little bit better. It's definitely one of the better ones of Season 4. And again, it could have used a few more laughs. I don't know. It's a recurring theme of Season 4. But definitely a solid episode. Now, Heroic Origins. This is the best episode of Season 4, in my opinion. I would have preferred this to be the finale. Let me just say that right now. Because everything about this episode is cool. From the idea of just doing an Origins episode to the idea that not all of them have met, but some of them have met each other and had some interesting interactions in 2008, right before they went to Greendale. The cool comic booky flashbacks we get to see, and like how the person's voice reverberates as they go to flashback or go back forward. Just really neat effects, you know? It's really cool when they do stuff like that. Like with the timelines, when they did the dice, like the little astral picture. Like just little things like that make the concept all the more interesting and clear, visually appealing. And then even just the way it's all done, the way it's all connected, it's so cool. It is so cool. And I mean, it's all believable too. It's like they're all connected, but not in like super obvious way. You know, we don't find out that like like Jeff and Britta went to high school together or something ridiculous like that. You know, like with Shirley and Jeff's connection in the foosball episode. It's like, you know what, they all live in the same area, so why not? You know, there are very loose connections between them. And obviously they wouldn't remember, because you just briefly saw each other. And, you know, and it's all stuff that Abed could easily piece together. It was really cool. I really like how they did it. It's all about the way they do things on Community. You can have a great idea, and if it's executed well enough, then it's amazing. If it's not, then it turns into something else. But before I get to something else, I also liked Chang at the end. I like they finally gave him the recognition. They gave him redemption. That was something that was really awesome. And the best way to end the Changnesia plot, really. It's what I wanted all along. It's like the least awkward way to handle this. And just everything, and the way it all connects too. I want to watch that episode and then the pilot episode. I'm gonna do that back to back and just kind of see. The only thing they got wrong, and I didn't catch this, someone on Twitter caught this. Apparently Troy's injury was original something to do with his shoulder or clavicle or something like that. It wasn't a leg injury that he faked. And also, but other than that, and that's just a minor gripe, and considering Troy faked it anyway, Troy not remembering what he faked and telling us the wrong thing is totally a thing he would do. But I mean, getting to see Annie run through the window, the fact that it connects way back to Football, Feminism, and You, like the 3rd or 4th episode, where Troy said that Annie called everyone a robot and then ran through a window. That's kind of true in the fact that she called him a robot. She called him, it's just a product of other people. It's got a lot of interesting connections, and I like that they mentioned Duncan again. Oh, I miss Duncan. I hope they get him back for Season 5. At least for one appearance. Come on. So that episode, A+, there's really nothing, and funny. Absolutely funny because of all the continuity going on. You know, it's one of those episodes you do have to watch the series to really get, you know, I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me. You know, like that moment made me laugh so hard, you know, not even because it was that funny inherently, but just because it's so cool that they made all these connections, all of these origins, pop, you know, like, all of them, and those are, you know, just squeezed into the side, right? Like, the only thing that doesn't really make a lot of sense is Britta, like, looking at her there and then looking at her in episode 1. But you know what? Like they said, Greendale gave them all a chance to reinvent themselves, which is what college is in general. So if there's any little, you know, oddities like Troy originally acting like a jerk jock and now turning into a man-child, you know, it's because in college you get to be who you really are, hopefully. But anyway, on to the season finale. All I can say is I'm glad that this isn't the series finale. And I'm gonna talk about why, you know, if I'm happy it got renewed or not next time. There's gonna be one last video where I rewatch all of the episodes, and I want to also watch Heroic Origins and then the pilot, and discuss some themes in the season as a whole, what I think of it, and then what I think of the series getting renewed. I think, spoiler alert, I think it's good news, but I'll explain why. But I jokingly said that I'm glad it was renewed, if only for the fact that this is not the finale. A lot of my problems with this episode come with the fact that it could have potentially been the series finale, and even if not, it's definitely at least the season finale. Let me frame it like this. Maybe you'll understand why I didn't like it like this. Basically, like 2/3 of the episode take place inside Jeff's mind. And for a finale, we want to see Jeff interacting with everyone. We want to see everyone interacting with everyone else. We want to see actual stuff happening. I don't want to see a daydream episode. If this episode had been second to last, or if this episode had been the Halloween episode, and it was Abed telling a story, then I would still be critical. There are things that I still didn't like about the story itself, but I would be a lot more forgiving. But I'm not, because this is supposed to be a grandiose finale. And really, I mean, half the episode I was sitting there wondering, are they really going to put this sci-fi thing into Greendale, into this show? Is that going to be it? Is there going to be this weird sci-fi thing? Or is this going to be all just a dream? I mean, all just a dream is a better option than the stupid sci-fi thing, but even still, that's all I was thinking the entire time. And I couldn't really enjoy it because I knew it was either going to be a dream or it was going to be stupid. So that took away from it a lot for me. But as a finale, we also want to see more of the other characters as themselves, not as Jeff's imagination, as themselves. The Season 3 finale did a good job of incorporating everyone, except for Annie, really. But, the show started off as being about Jeff, but it grew into an ensemble show. It's not just about Jeff. He is the main character, without a doubt, but to have this finale just mostly focus on him, it's a bit off. It doesn't really make sense. And I mean, there's a lot of other things about the episode that I didn't like, but that's the main gripe. It needed to be more about the other characters. It needed to be more about everyone, and it would have been more interesting to see how they dealt with him leaving, and what's gonna go forward for the new for the characters. We heard 20 seconds about, oh, I'm gonna be taking this class next semester. Oh, this one. Really, we wanted to see more, and even though it got renewed, thankfully it got renewed, so this isn't the last. But let's be honest here, there was a real threat of this being the last episode, and so they needed to go out with a bigger bang than this. I like that there are things that I like. I like that they incorporated paintball without making it, a paintball. I like the fact that sometimes, half the time, the effects were really good. The other half, they were so cheesy. And I just, the fight at the end, the evil versions versus the good versions, really lame. It just amounted to pew, pew, one gag and then pew. Like, that was it, It wasn't an epic fight like it was supposed to be, like it kind of geared itself up to be. And then having the fact that Pierce didn't actually die, that was kind of weak sauce. Come on. And it's also, it feels like an inferior version of of my favorite episode, Remedial Chaos Theory. And especially, and there's so many inconsistencies this season. I guess I'll talk about that more next time, but, Abed hasn't mentioned the alternate timeline thing in months. He just last week mentioned that he tried to cut off Jeff's arm. That's the timeline, he just mentioned it. Oh, and I mean, there's the fact that, let's see, they come back from the Christmas semester. Wait, they come back after Christmas only to work more on History 101, when it's been established that after Christmas, much like at most schools, it's the next semester. But here they're still working on 101, and then they say that it's been 1 year since Troy and Britta's first date. That can't be right either. That happened in June, or not June, but May, April, later. And now they're talking about oh, it's summer winter semester. It's come on. Wouldn't it have been, I get that they didn't want to have a Christmas finale. I get that. But at the same time, maybe they should have done that. Maybe that would have been better. I probably would have liked a Christmas finale a little bit better. something that I was discussing this episode with my friend, and something that he said that I didn't think really happened in the episode. He said like that Jeff used all of his knowledge about Greendale to save the day. I didn't see it in this episode, but wouldn't that have been a cool finale? Or hopefully maybe even something they would do next season. Have there be an episode where all of the characters, or even just Jeff, use what they learned at Greendale. There's callbacks to like every class that Jeff ever took. There's a big court case coming up, right? And Jeff, you could have even done that for the finale. You could have made only the first third be about the graduation, and the rest of it just been what's Jeff's future going to be. Actually seeing him out in the work world, and seeing the other characters kind of getting on without him. But it would have been cool, or maybe it will be, to see him in a court case, and he's struggling, and he starts using things he learned at Greendale. Like he learned what he learned about conspiracy theories, what he learned about seizing the day, what he learned about, the other classes that he took, what he learned about biology, yam biology or whatever, diorama making. It would be really cool to see that. That would be a really satisfying finale, would it not? Or even, like I said, even just every character individually saying goodbye to Jeff. Even in a temporary way, and a goodbye from schooling with you. But and also the Pierce thing, I liked that they made him graduate. That was a nice moment, but it felt very rushed. But that's a lot of Chevy Chase's fault, and not so much the fault of the writers. The season was played with a lot of problems like that. But I'll get into that next time. For now, I'll just leave you with, I really didn't like that episode. If you like that episode, like the concept of the alternate timeline coming and trying to replace them, could have been. I felt like could have been better. It's not a bad idea. I just felt like it wasn't executed right, and I felt like they needed to be a little bit more upfront with the fact that this is a story, or this is not really happening. And the only reason it fooled me was because I was really afraid that the writers would do something that stupid. If this had been, season 3, I would have been, okay, that's not going to actually happen, this is definitely a dream. And then I would have maybe enjoyed it a little bit more, but even still, it's a dream, so not so many consequences. But anyway, with that, I will see you guys in probably a week or two with my whole recap of everything, thoughts about running themes in the season, thoughts about the problems with the season, thoughts about what I want them to do for Season 5, why I'm really happy that they're getting a Season 5. Everything next time, alright? Pieguyrulz, out. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe if you liked me, like this video if you, like this video, and comment if you have an opinion on anything that I just said. Oh, and I also have a Twitter. Follow me at Pieguyrulz. I usually respond to any comments or questions that I get. Pieguyrulz, out.